positive note, let's also jump into our top story. We are talking about Novak Djokovic, who has landed in Dubai after Australia has officially cancelled his visa. So this was after the seemingly never-ending saga. One of the world's top tennis players has been deported from Australia ahead of the Australian Open. So he had sought to restore his visa. However, the court rejected his challenge to the decision of the Australian Immigration Minister. So it went all the way up, obviously, Alex Hawke, who had cancelled his visa. He had won the first appeal against the initial decision to cancel his visa at the border, but it was later overturned. The government's intervention was unsuccessful under the country's Migrations Act. So he was then detained for 10 days upon arrival in Melbourne after border forces proved his medical exemption against COVID-19 vaccination was insufficient. So he could not get into the country.
And it looks like he's currently in Dubai. Now, Novak was on the Emirates flight leaving Melbourne at 10:30 p.m. and will be arrived this morning at 5:30 a.m. Now, the tennis star said he is extremely disappointed with the outcome and in quote, I am extremely disappointed with the court ruling to dismiss my application for judicial review with the minister's decision to cancel my visa, which means I cannot stay in Australia and participate in the Australian Open. Now, I respect the court's ruling and I will cooperate with the relevant authorities in relation to my departure from the country. It's quite a commotion there.
It's quite a commotion. Like, literally, it felt like this never-ending saga. Like the world's top tennis player, it was all over vaccination status. So you need to get into the country, you need to be vaccinated. That's to get into Australia. However, there are some exceptions. However, his exemption was not upheld. And what's really interesting was that when he got on that flight, that Emirates flight to Dubai today, it was one of their most tracked flights on Flight Radar 24. So you know the way you can check people's departures and times.
Yeah.
So the whole world is like, what's Novak doing now? Where's he going? He's landed in Dubai, which you don't need, of course, a vaccination status. However, you do need a negative PCR test. So we will have had to get that to get onto the plane. And now we don't know where he's going next. But no Australian Open for one of the world's biggest tennis players. And, you know, massive shame.
Yeah, that's a big hit. But Australia is very, very strict with their COVID regulations. And we know those who have, who are seen or caught flouting rules don't just get fined but also get a very severe jail sentence. So of course, this should have been in mind when entering the country.
Did you see the memes?
No, I haven't seen the memes.
The memes on this story were the big, like Novak, like the name, like it was genius, and it's been ongoing for so long. It's like you never have this level of attention with kind of, I guess, like a legend in the sports world coming up against a government, and it just proved that no one is above the rules in this case. And there was kind of, it wasn't just someone trying to play a tennis match, obviously, because it brought up the whole question of vaccination, and the Australia's rules are obviously firm. So we could not bypass
with this story, I completely understand the urgency to get vaccinated, right? But at the end of the day, it should still be open to a person's choice. Like if you don't, it's his choice, but then maybe not enter a country that doesn't allow it. I don't know. Like I feel like it's, at the end of the day, it comes down to the person.
Well, not in this case. It was the government's choice.
Yeah. I feel like it just shouldn't be forced upon you, which it is getting to, like all countries are slowly like, if you're not vaccinated, there are 1,000 restrictions so that you don't have a choice but to get vaccinated. It's so tricky though,
because you're saying it's your choice to get vaccinated, which it should be, but then at the same time, it's not about you, it's about the wider
community,
people, because I know, I can be fine in the fact that I'm sanitizing every day, I'm wearing my mask, I'm keeping social distance. However, I can still potentially get infected and infect 10 people around me. So that's the case with COVID. So that's why it's not just on the onus of the person, it's because a person can actually lead to giving COVID to what's the rate of transmission? So that's governments have had to bring in these measures because people aren't getting vaccinated because they want to return to normal. I don't know where it's
educate the public, introduce incentives, but to punish someone for not getting vaccinated, I feel like they're two big extremes. Like, why punish them when you can educate them?
He chose to fly to Australia where the rules are strict.
Yeah.
So if he
for the
stayed in
game.
Serbia, like what are the rules? You know, so that was his choice to fly there.
Yeah. We can go on and on about the vaccination, but we'll move on
Get
to
vaccinated.
get vaccinated. Yeah. But your choice.